there's no harm from it at all.
What was the tipping point at 9 years?
And the positives could be immense from it.
You're an advocate, if you're okay with me talking about it, in terms of testosterone replacement, and certainly at the moment that's something that you've been on. Where did your journey of TRT play into the energy you've got today versus where it was?
I suppose the last couple of years, it's a couple of years. So I've been on replacement therapy for probably about 18 months. From the Paralympic torch going out in 2012, I had a clinical depression. That it's very common with athletes that when they come to the end of their career is that they're still relatively young, and there are other avenues that open up, but you don't see it at that point at that particular time. When you retire from work, you tend to be a little bit older. It tends to be a celebration of what you've done as an athlete. If you're fortunate enough to stay healthy and get to compete at a major games, for me, the Olympic Games, is your last day at the office is the most important day of your career. Yeah. And then the next day is nothing. For me, the next day, or certainly within a month, I was asked if I would get involved in the bid for 2012.
Godsend.
And it was absolutely fantastic. So my Olympic dream carried on, not just the 20 years that I was involved in it as an athlete, but then trying to bring the games to this country and this city, and being part of it. So it sort of manifested in a slightly different way, but kept that going. And then suddenly, when that Paralympic torch went out, I watched the closing ceremony at home. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I was working for the BBC on the Olympics and the rowing coverage. There was lots of different avenues. My family were growing up relatively quickly at that particular point, so there was lots of things in my life that were very positive. But you're thinking, well, where do I go now? Yeah. It sort of manifests itself in different ways, and one of the things that men are not very good about is talking about their emotional, their physical problems that may be coming around. And so I probably had 9 years of low level depression before I actually went and spoke to my GP. Wow. And that was probably, as most men, of quite quick to respond to that in some ways. Of groups of females, they'll chat more about their health and mental health, physical health a lot more than the men do. Men, we tend to take the mickey out of each other more than anything. And there's a positive to that, not all negative.
Yeah. What was the tipping point at 9 years?
That I just got to myself that I'm lethargic, not enough energy, really sort of struggling to evolve each day. Like you asked me what my score was. It's interesting. It's pretty similar to the score that I've just been given. But if you asked me that first thing in the morning, it would be 5 or 6.
Okay.
So again, not having very good night's sleep is that first hour of getting out of bed and sort of functioning, I find really difficult. Yeah. Even now. And again, we touched on dancing on ice, is that even in the 18 months of having the therapy, that hormone therapy that I'm on, I wouldn't have dreamed a year ago of committing myself to do a program like this. Just absolutely no way it would even have come across my of mentality to even think about it. So in some ways, I think that the positive side of testosterone replacement has helped me with my confidence and ability to function. Now, the interesting side of that is that as an athlete, when you talk about testosterone, it's a banned substance.
Yeah.
And that I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of anti-doping tests throughout my career, and obviously never had a positive test. But you also then don't get to of told what your levels are over there. So I've got no idea of what my testosterone levels were as an athlete.
New year, new me? These days it feels like every brand is shouting about how supplements are the answer to everything. But before you jump into the latest wellness trend, it's worth remembering that the basics come first. Hydration, good nutrition, rest, and movement. These are the foundations of feeling your best. When you do decide to supplement, what you choose matters. And my advice is to look for products that are free from additives, artificial flavors, and unnecessary fillers. Personally, having seen so many professional athletes utilizing their products, I decided to give Pure Sport supplements a go. Their products are built on science, they're backed with evidence, they've got minimal ingredients, they do what they're meant to do. Whether it's their ultra electrolytes to keep you hydrated and energized, or their unwind product to improve your deep sleep, I trust what they make is developed with care and to work with your body, not against it. As you set your goals for 2025, remember, it's not about quick fixes. It's about small, smart choices that support your long-term wellness. Explore their full range via puresport.co and discover the clean, natural way to feel your best. Use the code EE10 at checkout for an extra 10% off.
I guess, well, I know they're in the right regions, in normal, whatever that would be. Because I've been tested and have been tested regularly for the last 2 years, is that I've been on the lower spectrum of that. Was I always low? Or is it something that with age, and we know the aging process for men, testosterone does go down. But that is not an unusual, but I was at the lower extreme side of that. So that's where the testosterone replacement is. And it's a simple blood test.
Yeah.
So my advice to men, if they're struggling with energy, of mood changes, of just that physical get up and go,
Yes.
Go and have a simple blood test. There's other things in the blood test that for aging male is a good thing to know about as well. So there's no harm from it at all, and the positives could be immense from it. So that would be my one thing of mentoring today, that the company I do a lot of work with is a company called Ted's Health.
Yep.
And it's a very simple process of doing it, and it's ruling things in or ruling things out. And if it's ruling things in, well, why not do it? If you're going to have a better lifestyle from it, then it's worth doing.
I couldn't agree more. And I think when we look at energy, because of course there's this Venn diagram of crossover between depression, clinical depression, and low testosterone, in terms of they both correlate with lethargy, apathy, loss of brain fog. There's a real crossover, and that's not to say all clinical depressions are rooted in low testosterone, or those two things are linked, but it's a very logical thing, and lots of men don't understand about the andropause, this diminishing contribution of testosterone or production as we age. So to check it out is absolutely worthwhile. And I had a huge beaming smile across my face that that testosterone has turned into
you get
something.
to say it's already mentioned that a 62 coming on to 63 is that of the last 10 years of thinking, well, is this the aging process? Is this what we feel like of getting old? And you use that as an excuse and a reality to, okay, I'm getting old. I'm not going to be the fighting fit athlete that I was in my teens, 20s, and early 30s. There's got to be some of wear and tear from what I did. Or else you'd be getting a lot of 60-year-olds still at a prime fitness and competing at events like the Olympic Games, which you don't get that many of doing it at that. So there is that process, is that you do slow down naturally from that. But you tend to accept it and thinking, okay, this is not a lot of fun of getting old.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
I think that's a great message.